Now, on my angle tonight, I will, for the umpteenth time, speak about CBC, the incoming education curriculum that is currently at grade 5. Now, I speak about CBC again because with just a year before the first major transition in the new system, alarm bells are ringing everywhere. Of course, many of the questions have been raised many times, even before the implementation of the curriculum kicked off in 2019. And most certainly here on my angle and on the news gang. But the fact that the questions keep resurfacing suggests that either they have fallen on deaf ears or the answers given so far are simply not satisfactory. Just today, Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha blasted critics of the new curriculum, insisting that their criticism was, quote, malicious. In fact, Magoha referred to the critics as busybodies and politicians who had no idea what the government was doing behind the curtains, he said, to make CBC work. Now, it is difficult to imagine that such responses will calm the nerves of millions of parents all across this country who still have countless questions and concerns over CBC. Why would parents raise malicious questions, whatever that means, about something that affects their children? I mean, as a parent of a CBC learner, I know I've never been fully engaged in any structured way on the new role I ought to play in the CBC dispensation. I have talked to fellow parents with children in different types of schools, and they are not without complaint. That's a fact. They complain about the incessant demands to print this, to make that, to buy this. It's a very unfamiliar territory, especially for parents who have older children who've gone through a different curriculum. They also complain that the many demands don't come cheap. Many of the books are used perhaps just once and discarded. The learners don't seem to have less work at all. In fact, it would appear they have even more work now under CBC. Wasn't this new curriculum supposed to reduce the workload for the children and give them more time to simply be children? Why would the CS so casually dismiss the lived experiences of real parents with real children in real primary schools across this country? What other evidence does he value if he can't take feedback from parents, whatever their number? I doubt whether accomplished scholars such as Professor Lukoya Tuoli, who have faulted the implementation of CBC, can be categorized as busybodies, as the CS would want us to believe. The challenges facing the curriculum are now well documented, but bear repeating. Apart from the obvious challenges parents are facing and the widening inequality gap, the road ahead looks even more scary. The extra infrastructure needed to accommodate the 2 new classes, i.e. grade 7 and 8, that will now be part of secondary school, is yet to be put in place, despite the fact that the first CBC cohort is making the transition in less than 2 years. And now it is emerging that even the universities and other institutions of higher learning are also not prepared for the sea change that is about to hit them in just a few years. In an article published in the Standard newspaper, the chairman of the Commission for Higher Education, no less, appeared to be admitting that universities are only now beginning to engage with the process. Professor Chacha Nyagoti Chacha is reported as saying this, quote, universities must now prepare so that they are not caught pants down. They must come together, get this, and discuss to understand what CBC is all about, and then review what they're currently doing to align with the expectations of the students when they join. Now, did the good professor say that only now should universities discuss and understand what CBC is all about? Now? When the system is already at grade 5? Shouldn't the universities have been part and parcel of this conversation right from its inception? Or am I missing something? Ladies and gentlemen, there is no perfect curriculum in the world, and no change such as the one we are going through in the education sector is ever easy. But let's face it, the emerging challenges cannot be tackled by the government through fiat. Education is the business of everyone, and no voice should be ignored or dismissed as busybody. The truth is out there that all is not well with CBC, and we risk taking an expensive gamble if we don't pause and listen. After all, isn't a curriculum really, at the end of the day, all about learning? That